What's up, guys, and welcome back to another weekly market analysis video on my YouTube channel. So today I'll be sharing with you what I think will be my directional bias on gold, on NASDAQ, and EURUSD. Okay, so real quick before we step onto the chart, if you are not subscribed, kindly hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on all these weekly market breakdowns that I do prior to market opens. Okay, so real quick, let us step onto the chart and let me show you what I am looking at for the upcoming trading week. Okay, so real quick, I'm going to start with gold. And, we talked about the higher time frames last week. And so I'm not going to waste time on that. Okay, so touching on that real quick, we can see that, we've had liquidity, built to the downside right in here on the daily time frame. Okay, but then we also defined something here from last week on the daily where we said, we've had this break of structure right in here with the wick, which is fine with me, right? And we define this imbalance and this level of supply all from last week, right? And so last week we're looking at price to, basically tap into this level of imbalance and then into that supply. We can see that that imbalance has been breached, right? And we have this level of supply right above our head. Okay, so real quick, I'm going to step into H4 and we see what H4 is doing. So here on the H4, we can see price making what higher highs and higher lows, right? And we can see that price has blown through that imbalance. And real quick, we can see this level of H4 demand beautifully defined and H4 breaking structure to the upside. So H4, we are bullish. Probably price is what's making that daily retracement leg, and there's a higher tendency that we can see price push into these levels of daily supply. Okay, so real quick, I'm going to step into M15 and we will see what price is doing on M15. Okay, so here on M15 we can see that this is the demand zone from H4, and we had a change of intent right here on M15. Now this looks a little bit tricky, okay, because on a normal day when we have like a change of intent like this, we'll be expecting price to come into certain levels and then we continue to the downside, right? But then this time around we can see that this change of intent was made into that H4 demand. And so personally I am thinking that we may not have price necessarily reacting to any levels, but then even if we get a reaction, it's going to be like a small retracement and then we're going to continue with a push to the upside, right? So that is what I am personally thinking. But then always you need to react to whatever the market is doing. Okay, so in as much as we've had M15 changing intent to the downside, telling us that intraday we are bearish, what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to mark this level in here, right, and see how price will react to it, right, when market opens. Okay, but personally I don't have any reason to look for point of interest right in here, because already look at this, we have this levels of liquidity built in here, right? So that is equal highs, and apart from that we can see that it is in confluence with the Asian high, which I know my Asian high is like some sort of liquidity pool for me to look at, right? So personally, in as much as I have this change of intent to the downside telling me that intraday is bearish, right, if this level is breached, or what I'm going to do is that I'm going to wait for price to make some sort of retracement, and I'm going to capitalize on the push to the upside into that level of supply, right? But then another thing that can also happen is the fact that we can have price coming back down, right, to take this low into the demand zone. Then we can look for what? Buys. But then if you're looking for buys in here, you should know that price is still what? Is still bearish. So if we get any opportunity after this low is taken, it will be counter trend until this high is what is taken out before we can start looking for good buys to the upside, right? So that'll be what I'll be looking at on gold. Real quick, let us step into EURUSD and let's see what I'm looking at also on EURUSD. So real quick, I'm going to step into my daily and let's see what price is doing. So here on the daily time frame, like I said, we already defined this higher time frames structural levels last week, right? And so we have all this beautiful level of supply up here that we are looking at, and we know that the daily is bearish. Okay, so real quick, I'm going to step into H4 and you're going to see what H4 is doing. So last week from my analysis, I said that price will take out what? This high because of this liquidity that was built to the upside. Okay, so that was exactly what happened, and we can see that, you know, after this push to the upside, this was the last high, right, that made this low. So initially we were bearish on H4, but then after this high being grabbed, right, we know that now we have switched from a bearish H4 to a bullish H4, right? And real quick, I'm going to step into my H1 and I'll show you what happened over the week, right? So here on H1 also, this was my last high that created this low on H1. Okay, we can see that price was making higher highs and higher lows, but this H1 structural level was not taken up right in here, right? We had another retracement and then we pushed up before we took out this last structural point of H1. Hence, in as much as this whole swing leg is H4, because it was that leg which took out H1, I'm going to say that H1 and H4 are sharing the same structural level, okay? And so H1 and H4 are what? Are bullish, right? So whatever is happening in here is just 15-minute time frame structure, building higher highs and higher lows to take out the H1 structural point and the H4 structural point, which was right in here, okay? So after that, what did we see? We see price come all the way back down to mitigate this point of interest right in here. And we had liquidity built, right? So liquidity built and grabbed into that point of interest, right? After that, what do we see? Now, stepping into my M15, let me show you what happened on M15 and what I'm looking at for the upcoming trading week, okay? So here on M15, I had my change of intent, right, which signaled to me that price was ready to make that retracement into that point of interest, right? And real quick, this was my last high of M15 that made a low, right? And so we pushed up, and personally, I'm tempted to say that from here to here is one M15 leg. That is what I am tempted to say, but then I'm going to stick with whatever price is what is saying or price is showing me currently. So personally, I have this whole leg which took out this M15 structural point, okay? And so I'm going to say that this is my whole M15 structural leg, right? And we can see how beautifully we had this Asian low, this Frankfurt open, and this lows that was also created in London as liquidity built, and price came all the way back down to grab all this liquidity into one H1 point of interest that we had over here, okay? And this was where I even got, you know, my sales to the downside, right? You can check the trade out on Instagram. I put that trade on Instagram, okay? So you can check it out. So we've had price grab this liquidity to the downside into a level of supply, sorry, a level of demand, right? And we can see that from the 5-minute time frame, we have price making what? Higher highs and higher lows, right? And so personally, this is what I will be looking at. So currently, I'll be working within this 5-minute leg, okay? Because I know that H4, H1, and M15 are all bullish, right? And M5 has also switched bullish. Now, this is what I will be looking at. I have this two levels of demand, which I've marked on M5, right? And so personally, I think that what will happen is that when price opens, because we've already tapped into this level of demand, we may have price pushing all the way to the upside, okay? And so if, you know, price makes that push to the upside, right, and makes a retracement, probably I'll be looking for opportunities to capitalize on those buys to the upside, because already I know that M15, H4, and H1 are all bullish, right? If not, and we have price retracing deeper into this, you know, level of demand, I'll also wait and see what price will do, and then I'm going to capitalize on that to, you know, take the buys to the upside. But then all what I want to bring to light is currently M15 is bullish, M5 is bullish, H1 is also bullish, and H4 is also what? Bullish. If we will have any intention of price making sales to the downside, we are going to expect this lows to be what? To be taken out before we can start saying that, oh, price has switched intention to, sell to the downside. Apart from that, whatever is presented in here is just bullish scenarios. Okay, so that'll be what I'll be looking at on Euro USD. And real quick, let us step into NASDAQ and let me show you what I am looking at on NASDAQ. So real quick, I'm going to start also from the higher time frame. Always start from the higher time frame. So here on NASDAQ, like I said, we've already defined all these higher time frame structural levels. Okay, so we know that daily we are bullish. Okay, and real quick, I'm going to step into my H4 and see what H4 is doing. Okay, so here on H4, we can see H4 making what? Higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, and higher highs. So H4 is also bullish, aligning with the daily. Okay, and quickly I define my my H4 level of demand. Okay, and you can see that I didn't mark just this small candle here on H4, but then I extended it up, right, choosing the H4 demand range. Okay, because even if I should go back to the daily, you're going to see that beautiful candle, right? We can see that it's a very beautiful pin bar, right? And so I choose that as my point of interest on H4. Now, even without stepping into H1, right, we can see that H1 is making what? Higher highs and higher lows within this whole H4 swing leg. Okay, now what this tells me is that, this is my last point of demand on H1 that made the high. So we can see that also H1 is bullish. So we have H4 daily and H1 bullish. So real quick, I'm going to step into H1 and I'm going to show you something as well. So we can see already we've defined this last point of H1 demand, right, or H1 structural level. Now, what this tells me is that if this last level of H1 structural level is not breached, you have no business in looking for, retracement into that level of H4 demand below, right? So I am always going to react to what price is telling me. Okay, so personally, I will be looking at price to, capitalize on this move probably into this level of H1 demand, depending on what M15 is saying. Okay, so that will be the best possible scenario. If there is any sales presented, look for it into this level of demand, and if this level of demand of H1 is breached, then you can capitalize on the move to that H4 point of demand below. Okay, so real quick, I'm going to step into M15 and we will see what M15 is saying. Okay, so here on M15, right, we can see that we've had this beautiful change of intent telling us that M15 is ready to make that dip to that H1 level of demand. Okay, but then we can see how price is moving in here. I am almost also tempted to say that this is a new leg of M15, which to me I think is valid, right? And so I'm going to say that this is M15 breakout structure, right? And I'm going to mark this level as a level of of supply to see what price will do to it, right? So if market opens and we have that push into the supply and it is respected, then we're going to have price pushing all the way to the downside, okay, into that level of demand. If not, and we have that level breaching, I'm going to see how price will react to these highs. Okay, so here on NASDAQ, nothing solid built up. Okay, just the fact that I've had this M15 breakout structure, and because I am not so sure of whatever is happening internally, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to mark this highs right in here, right, and this lows right in here, and see how price reacts to any of these levels. If I have this highs breaking, I'm going to just wait for a retracement and I'm going to capitalize on the move to the upside, because already we are bullish on H4 and on H1, right? If this lows gets taken out, if maybe we have this level respected and we have this lows taken out, then I'm also going to wait for another retracement and capitalize on the move to the downside. Okay, so this is what I'm looking at on these pairs that I've shared with you. Okay, if you like this video, please do well to give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment in the comment section. Okay, so see you within the week for another beautiful and insightful video.